Hi, Modelling Mark here again. Let's get started with Agora's USS Constitution. This is pack 1. I'm going to split this into 2 videos. This is obviously the first. Now first of all, I'm going to apologise for the sound quality. I do have a better microphone on order, so hopefully sound quality will improve for the next video. Right, let's get growing. Okay, let's start by gluing the 2 braces to the building jig. I'm just going to use super glue for these. Okay, next task is to prepare the keel. That's 1, 2, 3 parts. That one fell out. Now I could really do with a bigger knife for that, but I haven't got one handy. Although these ones are cutting very, very easily. A little bit of fine sandpaper. Just to smooth off the nibs. I've got the back of the keel slots together like this, and I've got the front of the keel goes together like this. It's all a bit wobbly at the moment, but that doesn't matter, it's not glued yet. And this just drops into the building jig. Make sure the bow and the stern parts of the keel are pushed down firmly. So So don't force the keel down. Let that find its own level. It needs to be straight. So take these jigs. They will help hold the keel nice and true. Now these two reinforcing pieces are glued either side of the keel, and they will glue the join in place. I'm using white wood glue for this. Make sure they're lined up nicely and use a clothes peg to hold them in place while they're dry. It's the same process for the ones at the front. Alright, now put that to one side, let it dry. I'll let that dry overnight before I do anything. If you watched the introductory video, you'll know I'm going to do this as a half hull. That means all the frames are going to have to be marked or I'm going to cut them. I'm actually going to build the hull as a complete hull and then cut it in half after it's substantially completed. I'm going to cut the hull just to one side of the mast collars. That means I'll have the mast and mast collar intact on the finished model, so it'll actually be slightly over a half of a hull. Now the mast collars are 14mm in diameter. I need to cut the frame 7mm from the centre line. First of all, I'll mark the centre lines. This involves a little bit of careful measuring, dividing each measurement by 2 and then drawing the centre line. That's the centre line marked for the first frame. Now I'll mark and draw a line 7mm to the right of the centre line. Excuse my head in the camera shot. Not the best of photography, I must admit. and that's the cutting line marked. That's all the centre lines and the cut lines marked, and it's taped to the cutting board just to give it a bit of stability. Now, to protect the paper, just put a bit of tape over where the sections of frame are going to be glued. Now we can start assembling the frames. I've already cut out and prepared the pieces. Frame number 1 goes like that. The middle pier part. Carefully apply glue to the edge. It all needs to be done quite accurately. Once the frame's all glued and taped down, now we'll leave that to dry overnight before I mark the cut lines. The frames have been drying overnight now. Before I lift them up, I'm going to cut but not glue the beams while the frames are still taped down. I'm going to cut them using a mitre block so I get a nice square cut, and using a nice fine razor saw. Now my razor saw is not deep enough to go all the way to the bottom of the mitre block, so I've got an off cut of the planking of the frame which I just put in the bottom, and then I can cut all the way through. Quick tidy up with a bit of sandpaper. Okay, there's the first beam, there's the second beam. They've been labelled with the number 1, and I shall carry on to the first 3 frames. They need to come off, then I can do the frames 4 and 5. That's the first 3 frames with all their beams. Now I can line up against the cut mark. and mark where I'm going to cut. First three, these can come off now. And that's the first frame marked, glued, just needs a little bit of a sand, then that's finished. That's the first three frames. Note to future self, don't put glue tape over the cutouts for the deck beams. Right, I'll carry on with these two, and then I will carry on with frames 6 and 7, which are on a separate sheet of paper. I'll do all those off camera. I won't bore you because they're exactly the same process. Okay, that's frames 6 and 7 done. That's a full set of frames. Just taped the beams from each frame together just to make it easier to sort them out when I assemble them. Now just to finish off the frames, they all get a bit of a sanding. There's actually no point in sanding that side because that's going to be thrown away anyway. looking just to smooth over the joint, remove any glue stains and remove any burning from the laser. Okay, I shall do the rest off camera. I won't bore you with all of them, and then we can move on to assembling them. Oh, we do need to remove any pencil marks. Not that one, of course, that's the important one. Okay, now we've got all our frames prepared, the keel's ready. We can start gluing the frames onto the keel. Start with frame 4, goes there, to dry fit first. So the instructions say use a set square to make sure it's upright. If you haven't got a square, you can use this jig because these corners are perfectly square. That looks good. Now remember, we're only gluing the keel. You don't apply any glue to the legs. Now I've got to be careful to make sure I get this the right way round, but for people building the full normal model, it doesn't matter which way round it goes. Make sure it's still upright. And we can move on to the next frame. The rest of the frames are done with the magic of cinema. That's all 7 frames in place. I'll just make sure they're all nice and firmly seated, and that'll do us for the moment. These need to dry solidly before I do anything else. That's the end of this video. I'll be back soon with fitting the deck beams. Why do I get the strangest feeling that I've screwed up? Okay, who was shouting at me telling me I've forgotten the topmost beam? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, Please like and subscribe, and if you have any comments, leave them below. I read them all and I answer nearly all of them. Thank you. See you soon.